When we speak about hardship, we often speak about it as though it is something abnormal, something that has gone wrong in our lives. But in reality, hardship is part of the design, not a flaw in it. The believer understands this deeply. There is a difference between someone who experiences pain and someone who understands pain. The one who understands it does not break in the same way because they see beyond the moment. You need to remind yourself that what you are going through right now is not permanent. It feels heavy, it feels endless, it feels like it defines your entire existence, but that is only because you are inside it. When you are in the middle of a storm, you cannot see the clear sky beyond it, but that does not mean the sky has disappeared. It simply means your vision is limited by your current position. Allah letter FD, FB tells us in the Quran that with hardship comes ease. Notice the precision of that statement. It does not say after hardship comes ease, but with it. Meaning even in your most difficult moments, there are hidden forms of ease already present, though you may not recognize them immediately. Sometimes the ease is in what did not happen to you. Sometimes it is in the strength you are developing. Sometimes it is in the sins being forgiven quietly, without you even realizing it. Psychologically, what makes hardship feel unbearable is not always the pain itself, but the belief that it will never end. When a person loses hope in the future, the present becomes suffocating, but faith restores that hope. Faith tells you that this moment is not your conclusion. It is a chapter, and chapters are meant to turn. Reflect on your own life. There were moments you thought you would never recover from. There were nights you believed the pain would last forever. Yet here you are. You survived. Not only that, you grew, you learned, you became someone different. That alone is evidence that your current hardship will also pass, even if right now it feels just as overwhelming. This is why the believer does not attach their identity to their suffering. You are not your hardship. You are not your lowest moment. You are a servant of Allah going through a test that has already been measured, already been limited, and already been given an end point. Nothing you are facing is random. Nothing is without purpose. And there is something else we often overlook. Hardship has an expiry date, but your reaction to it has consequences that extend far beyond it. The way you respond today, whether with patience or frustration, with trust or doubt, shapes not only your outcome in this life, but your standing in the next. So the test is not just about what you are going through. It is about who you become while going through it. So when you feel overwhelmed, do not rush to escape the moment in a way that disconnects you from Allah. Instead, learn to sit with it, to understand it, to grow through it. Because the very thing you are trying to run away from might be the path through which Allah intends to elevate you. Remind yourself again and again, this is not permanent. This is not the end of your story. There is a wisdom unfolding that you cannot yet fully see. And perhaps the most powerful realization is this: if Allah brought you to this hardship knowing your limits, then He also created you with exactly what it takes to come out of it. So hold on, not because it is easy, but because it is temporary. There is a subtle but powerful shift that happens when you begin to see your delays, your disappointments, and even your closed doors not as rejections, but as redirections. Most people, when something does not go their way, immediately assume loss. They assume something has been taken from them. But the believer, the one who has internalized trust in Allah, understands that sometimes what is held is just as important as what is given. This is where perspective becomes everything, because two people can experience the exact same setback, yet walk away with completely different states of mind. One becomes bitter, questioning everything. The other becomes reflective, asking, "What is Allah preparing me for?" That question alone transforms the entire experience. You see, growth is not comfortable, transformation is not easy. If Allah were to give you everything you wanted instantly, without delay, without struggle, without resistance, you might receive the blessing, but you would not have the capacity to sustain it. Preparation is a mercy, even if it feels like deprivation in the moment. Think about it from a psychological perspective. When something is delayed, it forces you into a state of introspection. You begin to reassess your intentions, your habits, your reliance on people versus your reliance on Allah. You begin to develop patience, resilience, emotional control qualities that cannot be taught through ease alone. These are forged through waiting, through uncertainty, through moments where you have no choice but to trust. And this is why what feels like a setback is often a setup, not in a superficial sense, but in a deeply structured, intentional way. Allah is aligning things you cannot see. There are factors beyond your awareness, timing, people, circumstances, that are being arranged in ways your limited perspective cannot fully comprehend. If everything were given to you now, in your current state, it might not even benefit you. In fact, it could harm you. Mufti Menk often reminds us that Allah's delays are not denials, and that is not just a comforting statement, it is a profound truth. Because denial would mean something good is being kept away from you without reason, but delay implies purpose. It implies that something is still in process. Sometimes Allah is protecting you from what you are asking for. Sometimes He is protecting what you are asking for from you, until you are ready. And that readiness is not just about external success. It is about internal stability. It is about becoming the kind of person who can carry a blessing without it becoming a burden. Look back at moments in your life where something did not happen the way you wanted. At the time it may have felt like loss, but with distance, with maturity, you begin to see the wisdom. You begin to realize that if things had gone your way, you might have been in a worse position today. That realization builds trust, not blind trust, but informed trust based on lived experience. So when you are facing a delay right now, when doors are not opening, when things are not aligning the way you expected, resist the urge to interpret it as failure. Instead, understand that something is being built within you and around you. Your role in this process is not to control the outcome, but to refine your response. Because ultimately, preparation is not about what you are waiting for. It is about who you are becoming while you wait. And if you can hold on to that, if you can trust that this phase is shaping you for something greater, then you will no longer see delays as obstacles, but as essential steps in your journey. So the next time life does not go according to your plan, remind yourself, perhaps it is going exactly according to a better one. If you look closely at the pattern that has been unfolding, you begin to notice that hardship is not random and delay is not meaningless, but there is a missing link that determines how a person moves through both of these states, and that is how they respond internally. This is where patience and trust, Sabr and tawakkul, become more than just spiritual concepts. They become psychological anchors that stabilize you when everything around you feels uncertain. Patience is often misunderstood. People think patience means doing nothing, simply waiting passively for things to change. But true patience is far more active than that. It is the ability to remain composed while continuing to move forward. It is discipline in the face of discomfort. It is choosing not to let your emotions dictate destructive decisions. In essence, patience is strength under control, and then there is tawakkul, trust in Allah. Not a vague or superficial trust, but a deeply rooted conviction that whatever Allah has written for you is not only sufficient, but ultimately better than what you would have chosen for yourself. This kind of trust does not remove effort, it purifies it. You still strive, you still plan, you still take action, but your heart is no longer tied to the outcome in a way that breaks you. This combination is powerful because it addresses both sides of the human experience. Patience governs your behavior, while tawakkul governs your perspective. One keeps you steady in your actions, the other keeps you steady in your thoughts. And when both are aligned, you become remarkably resilient. Consider what happens when a person loses one of these elements. If someone has patience without trust, they may endure, but internally they are exhausted, constantly questioning, constantly doubting. On the other hand, if someone claims trust without patience, they may speak about faith, but their actions reflect restlessness, impulsiveness, and inconsistency. It is only when the two come together that a person finds true balance. Mufti Menk often emphasizes that when you place your trust in Allah, you will never be disappointed. That does not mean you will always get what you want. It means you will come to understand that what you received was exactly what you needed. And that realization brings a kind of peace that external circumstances alone can never provide. From a deeper perspective, patience and tawakkul reframe your relationship with uncertainty. Most anxiety comes from the need to control what is beyond our control. We want guarantees, we want clarity, we want immediate results. But life does not operate that way. And so, without patience and trust, a person becomes trapped in a constant state of tension. But when you develop these qualities, something shifts. You begin to accept uncertainty without being paralyzed by it. You continue to act, to strive, to improve, but you are no longer consumed by fear of outcomes. You understand that your responsibility lies in effort, while the result belongs to Allah. And this understanding is liberating, because it allows you to give your best without being emotionally shattered when things do not unfold as expected. It allows you to remain consistent, even when motivation fades. It allows you to maintain hope, even when evidence seems limited. Over time, this way of living opens doors, sometimes in ways you anticipated, and sometimes in ways you never could have imagined. Not because patience and tawakkul are formulas for instant success, but because they align you with a deeper reality, that Allah's timing is always precise, even when it is not immediately apparent. So as you move forward, remind yourself that good times are not just something you wait for, they are something you move toward with the right mindset. Every moment of patience, every act of trust, is a step in that direction. Hold your ground, trust the process, and continue walking your path with conviction, because the doors you are waiting for often open for those who refuse to give up on faith. If you follow the journey from hardship to understanding its temporary nature, to recognizing that delays are part of a greater preparation, and then grounding yourself in patience and trust, you arrive at a powerful realization. Your current struggle is not just something you are passing through, it is something that is actively shaping you. Most people, when they go through difficulty, focus entirely on what they are losing. Very few pause to consider what they are becoming. Yet that is where the real transformation lies, because life does not simply test you, it refines you. And refinement, by its very nature, requires pressure. Think about how strength is built, even in a physical sense. Resistance is necessary. Without resistance, there is no growth. The same applies on a psychological and spiritual level. The challenges you face are not just obstacles. They are a form of resistance that develops your inner capacity. Your ability to remain calm under pressure, your ability to think clearly in moments of confusion, your ability to hold on to faith when everything around you seems uncertain. These are not traits you are born with fully formed, they are cultivated through experience, and this is why one day you will look back at your current struggle differently. What feels painful now will eventually make sense, not necessarily because the pain itself was easy, but because of what it produced within you. You will recognize that you are more patient than you used to be, more aware, more grounded. Your perspective will have shifted. Things that once disturbed you will no longer have the same effect. That is growth. Mufti Menk often speaks about how tests bring you closer to Allah, and this is not just a spiritual cliché. It is a lived reality. When everything is going well, it is easy to become distracted, to rely on your own abilities, to feel a sense of control that is, in truth, quite fragile. But when you are tested, that illusion is stripped away. You are reminded of your dependence, your vulnerability, and ultimately, your need for Allah. And in that realization, a deeper connection is formed. There is also a quiet strength that develops when you endure something difficult without losing your principles. Anyone can remain composed when life is easy, but to maintain integrity, patience, and faith when you are under pressure, that is what defines character. And character is not built overnight. It is built through moments that challenge you to either rise or fall. What is important, however, is that you do not allow your struggle to turn into bitterness. There is a difference between being shaped by difficulty and being hardened by it. One leads to growth, the other leads to emotional distance and resentment. The key difference lies in how you interpret what you are going through. If you see your struggle as meaningless, it will drain you. But if you see it as purposeful, it will develop you. So instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" shift the question to, "What is this doing for me?" That single change in perspective can transform your entire experience. It moves you from a state of resistance to a state of reflection. And as this mindset deepens, you begin to carry yourself differently. You become less reactive, more intentional. You stop seeking constant validation from people because you understand that your journey is being guided by something far greater. You begin to trust not only the outcome, but the process itself. Eventually, the very struggle you once wished away becomes a part of your strength. It becomes a reference point, a reminder of what you survived and what you learned. And in moments of future difficulty, you draw from it. You remind yourself, "I have been through hardship before and I came out stronger." That is how resilience is built, not by avoiding pain, but by moving through it with awareness and faith. So do not underestimate what you are going through right now. It is not just a phase you need to escape. It is a process that is shaping who you are becoming. And perhaps the most powerful truth to hold on to is this: the struggle you are facing today may very well be the strength you rely on tomorrow.